town hall meeting, Wednesday, September 6th, 2023. I'd like to ask Secretary Van Fields to give his invocation and raise faith with the pledge of allegiance.
Father, we come to you in the precious name of Jesus. Lord, we thank you for this meeting. We thank you for our mayor and the vice mayor and the council here, Lord, and the residents in Port Richey. Thank you for sparing us from a direct hit from the hurricane, but we know that they've been flooding. So, Lord, give us wisdom tonight as the council, and they talk about it with the public to find out the best resources and everything that we already have and what's out there to be able to work together to make this a place back on its feet. And I thank you for the prepared, they was already prepared to deal with whatever come at them. And we give you the glory and honor, Father, in Jesus' name, amen.
Madam Clerk, you take a roll, please.
Mayor John Aaron Hoover,
Here.
Vice Mayor Todd McClary,
Here.
Councilman Tom Kinsella.
Here.
Let the record show that Councilwoman Linda Rodriguez and Councilman Bill Colombo are absent from tonight's town hall meeting. City Attorney Nancy Meyer. Here. Interim City Manager Sal Carey.
Here. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming. This is first for Port Richey put the town hall together. I want to do it quarterly to give you all opportunity to come here and actually have open communication with the council, get questions answered. So it's kind of a unique format. We're actually going to be two-way with you tonight. So I want to go over a couple ground rules I jotted down, just kind of keep control out there. So number one, this is your meeting. All right. So the agenda is open discussion. Feel free to ask questions, present ideas. Anything you want to talk about, concerns, something you'd like to see. Really, there's really no topics that can't be discussed. If there is, we got Nancy here to crack the whip on us. But pretty much anything that you want, we can discuss.
Got to give her a buzzer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Number two, be kind and respectful to everyone, to the speakers that are speaking, to the council members up here. Just be respectful. You'll have your time if you want to speak. There'll still be no time limits unless obviously it starts to get too much going on. We want to make sure everybody has a chance to talk, but I'm not going to put you on a clock. So we want to be as open and loose as possible. Be attentive and not disruptive. This is probably a good time if you would turn your cell phones on vibrate. Stay engaged in the meeting. The meeting's going to be as productive as you guys make it. So please pay attention and try not to keep the sidebar conversation to a side. Number four, don't monopolize the meeting. There's many people here that want to talk, so obviously take as much time as you need, but be considerate and make sure that we don't drag on the same topic for the whole entire 2 hours. Let other people talk. Number five, be patient. This is a new meeting, and with new meetings, we need time to kind of figure out the best way to facilitate those. So if you have suggestions, feel free to get those to us at the end, and we'll try to incorporate those going forward. But again, this is a new thing, so bear with us as we forge new ground here. And then finally, have fun and be productive. There's one thing I think that we all have in common, and that's the make Port Richey the best city it could possibly be. And that's what I'm here for. It's what these guys are here for, and what you're here for as well. So let's have a great meeting. With that, I will open the floor. I've got
Absolutely. Start one thing.
Sure.
Because minutes are being taken, because this is a sunshine meeting. I know we want to open conversation, but we do need to definitely take turns because we can't have two people speaking at once, and you're going to need to come to the microphone. So whoever you recognize to come forward, someone might, I want to say something. You need to wait to get recognized so we can get you on the microphone, get your name, so the minutes are clear.
Yeah, so that part would be similar to regular meetings. So I've got a list here of 4 folks, not limited to that. So after we go through these 4, by raise a hand, just come to the podium. Always state your name and address so that Ashley can get that on the record. And then if I'm not opposed to having multiple conversations going on, but just one at a time. So don't talk over each other. Okay. That being said, Betty Lou Cummins, you're first on the list. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Betty Lou Cummins. I live at 8607 Old Post Road. I've lived there for 10 years, which I find utterly astonishing. My concern is the speeding on Old Post Road. It is amazing to me. People who turn onto my street from usually Bay, and they see us straight away, and they think it's open season. And there are kids, there are bikers, there are pedestrians, not all of whom are very speedy and can get out of the way. And people, they speed. I'm in fear of somebody getting hurt. I know the police department has put the speed monitor gizmos out there, and that slows things down for the time that it's there. But when they're gone, the speeding steps up again. Can we do something about it?
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll actually address that. I've brought it up a couple council meetings to try to get something on the agenda to actually discuss speeding overall, not just Old Post, but several, Washington and some of the other streets, Bay, where it is a problem. There's several things we can do. Talk about speed bumps, possibly. Actually, the permanent signs is something I think might be a good idea that we put so it does drive that behavior. It may not stop it, but I know when I drive past them and see those there, I am cognizant of what I'm, my speedometer or whatever, and so I'll slow down. So, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, when they have those portables out there, do you see an improvement?
Yes.
So yeah.
While they're there.
Yeah.
But
Exactly. So I think if we maybe look at maybe doing some actual permanent ones on the posts or something there in those areas, maybe that would be a first step, and then see how that goes. And then if not, then maybe we look further deterrent. But I appreciate your concern. It's something that's I've heard lots about and on my mind as well. And hopefully we can get that on an agenda item to have a more results type discussion, where we can see what we can do.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, do you guys have anything to add?
I mean, yeah, we'll discuss it and further. I know the permanent signs are very pricey for that, so that is something that we'd have to likely budget for in future budgets to the tune of several $1,000s a piece, including power and that sort of thing. Speed bumps are usually the most economical solution. That being said, I also know, as you said, we have had the police put the little, not the big portable speed limit sign. There's another box that actually registers the speed limits. Whether people see that or not, I have no idea. But from a statistical perspective, there's not excessive speeding. That being said, one is too much, to be honest, in a residential neighborhood. So I'm all for having the conversation. I'm all for looking at alternatives, and go through it in more detail.
Anybody else have a comment on speeding? Just kind of stay on topic. Okay, moving on. Pat Rogers, you can go next. Welcome.
Pat Rogers, 4838 Sunset Boulevard. Just to comment on the speeding, if you've been through Golden Acres, they have signs that monitor how fast you're going that are permanent signs with solar panels. I don't know how expensive they are, but they're in there. There's one on Hilltop. So my question is probably one for whoever's going to be doing something with FEMA, Pam maybe, but I have a tenant who has her own washer and dryer, which she lost in the flood. Nothing got in the house, but her washer and dryer was on the carport, and it drowned. And I just wondered if there was any kind of coverage for that. And while none of the houses got water in them, both my garages did, and I've got a lot of power tools that are underwater.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wondered if there was any kind of coverage for that stuff.
So I know that, and I don't know all the details. Pasco does have some money available. FEMA, obviously, now Pasco's recognized as a FEMA disaster area, so there's relief through them. I don't know what specifics are on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sally,
We have a section dedicated to the website now that's basically just Hurricane Idalia and FEMA. If you select that icon, it has every form, every document that FEMA has sent us since Pasco was incorporated into that coverage. Pasco County has information on their websites for anyone. Now, I don't know where it falls. You probably might have to reach out personally where it falls as far as tenant owner coverage. That's between them. Sometimes, and I'm speculating, renter insurance may take an effect. I don't know, but that's what you may have to look into if the tenants can claim based on that property. I don't know that. That's something that
Yeah,
FEMA official
don't either. That's
that out.
I figured I would ask Pam, but she's not here.
I do know FEMA is going door to door in the neighborhood. They actually stopped by my house yesterday, and they're going through sections throughout the city. There's 8 teams of 2 people each, 16 people total, just traversing the city, trying to go door to door to find out what people need or what's available. So FEMA may be coming to your door
Well,
if they haven't done so already.
my tenants and I were all very fortunate that nobody had any damage in their houses.
And on part of that, though, the city is going around and picking up those things that you guys put out the thing from 5th through the,
25.
At least from the 5th and the 21st, and we'll reassess after that date. But we've already begun picking up. So
Yeah, the one house
Wow.
down the street, everything that was out there this morning is gone.
good, yeah.
They filled up all the dumpsters.
oh yeah, they filled them up. Yes,
So on the pickup, is this on a daily basis
every
or?
day until we get it done. And when the dumpsters are full, we'll pile it at the public works utility yard until those dumpsters are emptied, and then at least we can fill them there. So our main goal is to get everything off the city streets, get the city back to working our way to get the city back to normal, help these people out, get the debris out of there, and then of course FEMA do their assessments.
So for the residents, what time does the workers hit the street picking up approximately?
I would just say any time between the 7 to 4. I've offered overtime to my staff. They, of course, if and when they can do that, they'll continue. But at least between those hours, 7 and 4 in the afternoon, they are going to continuously rotate throughout the city, like the next 3 weeks. After those 3 weeks are up, we'll assess. If we have to continue it, we will. The state of local emergency is going to continue up until the time of the cleanup, until either Pasco County or state of Florida releases that, which it will probably be sometime. So we may have to continue this for at least 2, maybe 2-3 months at the minimum, until everyone is done with their assessments. Obviously we're not the only town. We've got this county, Pinellas County, all the counties north of us that were involved in the direct hit. So it's going to be a while for them to do their full assessment. So I don't see that being lifted for a while.
One question in terms of pickups. I know we have the debris from people's houses and things like that, and we also have the lawn debris. Are you picking up both simultaneously, or are you focusing on the people's debris
I'm
versus?
concentrating on people's debris first. The more, luckily we haven't had any major rainfall since the storm. I want to get all that out. I want to get the carpet. I want to get the particle board, the stuff that will just literally crumble in the rain. You want to get out first. Brush has been rained on before, and we will get it though. We have not forgotten it. It's just, to me, the debris is going to be, accumulate more mold, accumulate more whatnot. Brush is brush, and that will be taken care of. But I want to get the storm debris out of the way first.
In the end, it is iterative process too. So let's say I put something out today, you guys come pick it up. That doesn't preclude me from put out 2 days from now.
No. So we understand that there's going to be that's why we at least did it for a minimum of 3 weeks. Especially people who need assistance, who can't do it on their own. They're waiting on people who can help them. That's been going on. There's some properties that are still trying to get water, either out of their garage or have to do that. Then they can go in there and get there. So that's why we said at least a minimum of 3 weeks. And like I said, it may have to continue. We're just, like I said, I want to do at least for this immediate 3 weeks. Most people have already brought out quite a bit of stuff, and they're already having repairs. Some people have even brought in their own dumpsters and doing it themselves. But like I said, we're just going to keep continuing until we can get this cleaned up. So.
Anybody on that topic? Next up, I got Danny Fields. Welcome.
My name's Danny Fields, and my address is 8114 Little Kid. And it's basically in that same topic there with the flooding. you know, we were Somebody Cares. We've already talked, me and Pastor Troy has. We've been in the community. We talked to Somebody Cares. We're willing to help out with cleanup in that area. We got some teams that are willing to go out with trucks and trailers to pick up the debris and just in this area here in Port Richey. And so, because we got CareFest coming up on the 30th, September the 30th, but today, when I talked with them, they said that to let you know that we have other resources that you could connect to, which we already give you that information, and then we're willing to assist. Now, I don't know how that would work with you guys. That's why with this kind of meeting, we could figure out either partner along with your crew and pick stuff up, but I think for legal matters, but Nancy would know more about this, if we did our own thing with them and pick it up, but where could we dump it, and can we get that dump site free just for this community? And that's all we would use it for that flooding. We was over there, we talked to residents, and some of the things they addressed to me and Troy was they was having trouble after this flooding with their sewer. They noticed their sewers are not flushing good, so maybe that's something could be looked into. They could be the pipes cleaned out from all the debris going down in them, and the major pump station on that. So that's more up your guys' alley. You know what, how to address that. But I'm just giving you feedback from the community and saying that Somebody Cares is willing to step in and help out with labor free. We got a petition little thing we signed that protects the city, protects us, and protects them from any liability. So if I address that because of Nancy, she could tell us more about that.
Is there any issue with churches helping out with the city? Or?
Volunteers can be they can be a problem. It can be a problem. You have to, we'll have to look exactly at what you mentioned, some kind of form that's already been used before. We'd have to look at that. Sometimes when you have volunteers from a government organization, they're still covered under workers' compensation, which obviously is liability for the county, the city. So we'd have to look really closely at what they would be doing and what kind of agreement we may or may not be able to draft.
Okay, and so that site that Troy's got will show exactly what we do and all the stuff that we learned through Doug, that Nancy can maybe look at that file that was sent to you with Somebody Cares from Doug, and that way we have a more of a understanding that we're doing everything decent in order.
Nancy, correct me if I'm wrong. At the very least, what I would probably recommend, if you can, if you want to assist citizens out there to bring it out to the curb, if they don't have the capability of moving their own furniture or doing anything in their home, that's fine.
Okay.
Stuff out, and then we'll take care of that. To have you drive to our site causes liability issues and anything like that. But for you to do something for the private citizen themselves, we wouldn't go on private property anyway.
Okay.
If you work that out between you and that citizen, and they're welcome to that help, at the very least, bring that stuff out to the curb, and then we'll pick it up. So then that person can go ahead and have FEMA come and assess the damages and do whatever they need to do and start drying everything out so they can move back in. So that's the kind of help I would recommend, if anything, is to reach out to them personally, do the work inside the house, bring it out to the curb, and then we'll come and get it.
Okay, that sounds perfect. That way it's all in order, and then we know what to do now. That's why I wanted to address that, because of Somebody Cares. So I know we got other speakers. I won't hold up the time. But once you look over that, we're always willing as Somebody Cares to step in and help any way we can assist the city and the residents in any way that's proper. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
One quick question for Sal, and I guess you. I know the building inspector has been going around assessing properties, assessing all that. If he knows of properties that may need help of people bringing stuff out, is he allowed to tell, maybe we can put them in contact, so at least he can say, you know what, I went by this house at X street, it's in bad shape, the homeowner needs help, and then, we could just direct them to go there and then just be that conduit.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I mean, any contact information you either want to leave with Ashley or myself tonight on who they can call for that, I'll definitely relate to code enforcement and the building official. And then that way, if they run into a circumstance like that where there's a citizen who can't do anything on their own and need that kind of assistance, they'll have them give that number to reach out to you.
Okay, so then I could check in with Mike and stuff and Ashley with all that stuff with code
It's
enforcement.
best if Mike has the information to give to the resident
Right.
versus Mike being involved at all.
Okay.
So Mike,
Yeah, maybe we could do like a little flyer or so, or you can print out some flyers that he can just hand out.
Yeah.
And
then the onus is on the citizen to contact you and ask for that help if they need it. Having Mike coordinate it could
yeah,
cause a problem later.
yeah, I think it's much better if we
Just
have
present
some
it as an option.
flyers,
Here's an option.
he can just hand it out, and then it's up to the citizen to reach out to you.
Yeah, and that makes it easy. I don't have to do it. You guys don't. Code enforcement's already out there, and it keeps things in order. We could just bring it out and then go help them set it on the curb. You guys will do the pickup, and you're going to do for 3 weeks. Now, another thing, there probably might even have more pickup after that because once they start tearing the walls out and drywall, then you're probably going to have to extend that, but we'll see, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I said, we're going to assess after the 3 weeks and where we stand in the city. What to do to go forward. So
Well, thank you for your service and thank you for your leadership.
Appreciate it.
I would recommend also, I mean, if you have these flyers and make them up, we'll give them to the police chief and the police officers, and in case they run into anybody while they're on patrol, and talk to anybody on the city streets as well.
We probably get on the website as well, I
Yeah.
guess, right?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and Pastor Troy here, he's heading up the point that, so we do have a lot of resources to connect the public or anybody that watches online, this meeting where they could contact us with Somebody Cares or Pastor Troy, Light of the World, and we could connect them with a lot of resources. And another thing, if they need food, we got Volunteer Way right over here, so we got that resources. So we'll get these copies, get it to Ashley, you guys could get it on your page, and then we'll go from there. How's that?
Awesome. No problem.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all's willingness to help. Donald Cadle, is that right? Welcome.
Donald Cadle, 7706 James Clark Street. Wanted to see what the city could do. I'm having an issue with a city fence and gate that's installed in the right-of-way at the end of James Clark by Cody River Boat Storage. And it's blocking access into our driveway, and it's also a hazard. And at the time, I can't put out any of the storm debris because trucks won't be able to come down and turn.
Have you reached out to code enforcement on that?
I have, it's been an ongoing issue. I have surveys. There's surveys been submitted to the city showing the property lines. It's pretty clear easement. There's a power line, water main, and there's a fence installed on the city easement that is labeled private property. And the gate as well at the end is a folding gate. And it as well has a private property sign on it and will move about 6 feet when the wind blows.
Do you have the address?
It's right across from me. I believe the address is on Bailey Avenue. It might be your boat club now. And they have a porta potty that's permanently installed in the easement, water, electric, and it also blocks access into my backyard and the driveway and garage.
Has that fence been there a while, or is it new fence, or?
It's been an issue, emails going back and forth with the city for since 2019.
It's been around a while.
Yes, and the buck keeps getting passed from code enforcement, having a hard time having any consistency with code enforcement officers staying on the job. So it starts with one, then it gets passed off to the other and have to start all over. But there's a pretty good paper trail and email trail. Like I said, I have pictures showing it, survey as well. And with the fence being so close to the road, whenever we have a storm, there's a privacy screen on it that blows the fence even closer into the road, which limits my access in and out of my property.
Okay. Are you aware of this situation by chance, or no?
But I can talk to code enforcement, building officials, see if there's an active case on it.
Yeah, we'll follow up and look into it.
Okay. And I can reference emails as well if you need dates and times.
Have you made a current case with the current code enforcement?
I'm not sure who the current one is. Prior to the storm, I have.
Is this the gate that goes across the boat ramp?
I'm sorry?
Is this the gate that goes across that boat ramp?
The one at the end of James Clark, yes. There's a couple boat ramps there.
Yeah, there's a boat ramp. There's a boat ramp for your friendly boat or whatever the heck the name of that place is, right by Shark Bites.
Correct.
Okay. And that's the one straight ahead at the end of James Clark.
Correct.
Yeah.
I've had code enforcement and officers out that have said, yes, the fence is in the easement. Once a new property owner takes ownership, they'll be required to bring everything on the property up to code. And I've been told by Veronica that that's not the case anymore. That new owners are not required to bring property up to current code.
I'd recommend starting a new case, at least. I mean, if that's the thing, I would, if this has been going on since 2019, I would definitely make sure that you contact Jeffrey Singleton, which is our current code enforcer.
Okay.
There is a code that fences cannot be in easements in the city.
I'm sure the building official, between him and the building official and Veronica, will definitely be able to.
Okay.
I mean,
If possible, I'd like to meet with them and we can go over it.
tomorrow and see, whatnot. But I would definitely, we have a portal on the website. You can go ahead and start it, just put that information in, start an active case. But he's been our code enforcer now for almost a year now, so he's definitely the person to talk to. And
Okay.
so,
Yeah, I apologize, obviously, if that's been going on for such a long time. I, again, don't know the details behind it.
Sure.
But let's start fresh on it, and we'll take a fresh look at it and make sure that some resolution happens, whether it's, it's okay or not okay, and we do what we need to do.
The website is under the development services. There's a little tab that says start new code case.
Okay.
And we can actually track it too.
Okay.
From the town council perspective, we can track it.
Okay. And do I have an option currently to put out storm debris? I have some appliances and furniture that was flooded. I'm not going to be able to put it out in front of my property like is requested. Is there an area on the right of way that I could place it for pickup?
I would assume the closest right away to your property, but I would, I don't want to say this because what I don't want is to have citizens start dropping off random items everywhere. So
Correct.
I don't want to say that now, because the next thing we'll have is that I'll have debris on every street corner, because that's where they figured that's the right of way or the closest right of way. This is why we want everything on the curve of the property. If you want, at the end of the session, give me your address, your particular address of your property, and we can see where the closest place is going to be. What's that address?
7706 James Clark Street.
Okay.
Do that flag lot?
I'm sorry?
Do that flag lot with the long driveway?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can see why you're getting blocked off.
I'll get if you're here till the end of this session, I'll get your phone number.
Okay.
I don't want to publicly allow that publicly, but I would like to assess your particular situation individually. So that's what I'm saying. I don't want to say, yeah, you can do it, and that means everyone else can do it, and I don't want debris on everywhere in the city.
Perfect. And also, if we could get some consistent code enforcement. Certain properties are getting violations, some are not. Some properties are allowed to get away with a lot. And there's not consistent enforcement in my area, and it's causing some issues with all the residents there.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, I've heard similar complaints about consistency as well. Again, it's just something to ask those guys about. As there's, obviously they're, as they're going around, they're doing cases and they're overworked. It's on the plate. They wanted to hire another code enforcement officer, so it could be just they haven't gotten to that. And now some of the commercial stuff, I think they haven't even.
No, well, that was one of the, during our budget discussions, that was one of the, that's what the development services advocated, is that they don't have the time to even address the commercial side of it, which is something they really want to do. Both Mike, Alexander, and Jeffrey of Singleton have been, advocating for that, but, that's why we're asking for another code enforcer on the budget, so. Yeah.
So hopefully that'll work itself out here.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So that's all the sign-ups I've got. So I'm going to show of hands, and Dave is eager to
My favorite hand.
Welcome, Dave Mueller, 5439 Blue Point Drive.
My middle name, Dave, 543 Point, Blue Point Drive, Mueller.
No time limit, but let's not go crazy.
It's stuck at 3.
Before I forget, I think what we need to seriously look at for this city to help things and improve communications here is really take a look at our website. And I've gone out and compared some of the other little towns around us, and they're very robust, and ours is very, it's not very intuitive. Just like Mr. McClary referenced, you got to go to development services, and then you have to look at trying to figure out where to either put a code case or look up a code case or that kind of thing. So I think, and maybe what it needs is really get a team of residents and say, hey, you know, there's a lot of smart people in this town, right? And you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. You can look at it, you know, Newport Richey, Reddington Beach, Indian Rocks, Madeira, any of those cities over there, and see what they're doing for a web page and how it's laid out for getting information around. One of the other things that the last gentleman brought up is about selective code enforcement, and then there were several comments made a couple council meetings past about, oh, we're focused totally on residential and not doing anything regarding commercial. Well, that's a management issue. Real plain and simple, you can divide your time between the two and you can continue to parallel process instead of linear process this stuff. You can take one day and do residential. It takes 2 hours to drive through this town. We did this at Christmas time, assessing the lights. So the reality is you can drive this town in 2 hours and get a view. You don't have to drive the same area every single day. You can do it once a week, and maybe you do one day residential, one day commercial, and the other thing too is you don't want these things going to court. We're not going to make money doing this thing. What we need is tacit compliance and try to encourage people to comply, and how to maybe somebody's having an issue, that really, you need to, contact these guys over here. If somebody needs help with the grass that's, 3 millimeters too tall, and somebody's sending them a note, So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to address that. And I think us as a small community, we tend to look after our neighbors. Everybody on my street, this flood's brought everybody together. Everybody's helping one another. I had a situation, I needed to move a generator, and my neighbor came over and we stacked up a couple tires and pushed it up higher because the water was coming in, and I didn't want that thing to surf away. But the point being is everybody's made a lot of new friends through this tragedy, and I think it's brought our town together. And hopefully we can work together to try to get some of these things addressed. But I think, plain and simple, maybe you ought to try, especially with some of the stuff that I've been seeing on the website about doing a major renovation of a commercial building without any permits at all, and changing out electrical and HVAC and plumbing and that kind of thing. These are the things that I think really need to be focused on. These are things that can get us into issues and problems. But anyway, I appreciate what you guys are doing to try to take care of the debris. There was trucks down our street today, but they didn't pick anything up, so I'm kind of at a loss of why not. But maybe they were full and it was, whatever. But I'm looking forward to seeing stuff move, and I've been relaying that message, at least on our street. I'm still digging out as well, so thanks. Good job, guys.
Thanks. On it, obviously code enforcement, we're looking at the codes. Plan is going to be going through those to tighten those up and make adjustments where necessary. It's tough. They got a tough job it's kind of a thankless job, right? It's nobody wants to be told, how to keep their yard and all that, but we want to keep a nice looking city. So, one of the things that I'm going to reach out when we get the new city manager hired is, take a look at some of these processes and see if there's some room for improvement, and see if there's, something that, if it needs to bring to council, that we can, take a look at or whatever. But I'm hoping with the new city manager, fresh set of eyes coming in, that we'll get some good changes within the city and processes and whatnot that we can be improved. So that's what I'm going to ask anyway. So.
I had one comment, and maybe it was a question. I know we were previously talking about putting funds towards revamping the website, and this was probably a year or so ago. I know we were talking about it, but did we ever set aside the funds or start the process or anything of that nature?
No, because one of the issues is that there wasn't enough information on the website, and that's been changed. I personally oversee the data that's being put on the website constantly. We've made considerable improvements in all departments to post so many different things. I mean, the storm coverage alone, we make changes all the time, constantly, daily, and those things have been available to all the residents. Now, I've talked to my IT person. He does agree that the base code and base format for the website is older, but once again, to mirror someone like a different city or whatnot.
Don't call him out; he's back there.
I'm just saying is that if you're going to change the structure of the website, you start it from the ground up. You rebuild it, and of course that's a company to do that. I don't have staff here that do that. Everything that's done. I mean, I can be honest with you. I mean, but once again, this is when you talk about setting money aside, and taxes, and how much you actually want, and what are the things that you consider are levels of importance. To me, the website, is it an issue to address? Yes, but it's not on the level, in my opinion, at this time, it's not the level of importance. If council wants to allocate funds for that, I'll be more than happy to get bids from companies to renovate and change that, to change the website. But one of our biggest problems in the past just was the amount of information, and we've changed that.
Yeah, I think
Finance department, building department, everything. I mean, Facebook, the website. Every time we get in bits of information from the county notices, things like that. They're constantly posted. So we've made big efforts to get that information out to everybody.
And I do agree. I think the information is there. I think it is up to date. I think overall, it's just formatting and how most efficiently to get there. And it is the format of an older website.
Oh, yeah.
You can definitely see that. So and I don't know how much you're going to be able to change unless you rebuild the website. Because, obviously other cities have, changed their formats. They have a newer type code, newer type whatever for their website. We just have an older one. So the information's there. It's just harder to get to. We're circa 1990.
Oh yeah, and I think that there should be citizen input, how they would like to see things on the website before moving forward. If once again, if that's a purchase that council wants to move forward, I think there should be that company, whoever selected to rebuild that website, should have some interaction with both council and the citizens to see what they actually want on there. Like if they want certain portals or certain icons readily available, what are those icons? What do they want to select? What do they want to see on the face of the website, as opposed to what was pointed out, having to select 1 to 2 icons to get to that feature. So, but those are things that I think need to be broken down. Needs, wants. Of course, you can't meet every person's need, but at least you'll have a general consensus to go forward. I wouldn't recommend just hiring someone and just say, yes, go ahead and build me a website. Let's see how it goes. I think that direct input would be very helpful for that company and for us to say, we bought a product that's best for the city.
And so our IT person, I guess that he doesn't focus on that now. Obviously, does he have the capability to do that?
No, that's not his main concern is complete computer functionality for our infrastructure, servers, everything like that. Storage. He's not a website designer. So
they definitely could use some help for sure. So,
Well, and like I said, if this comes up in a council session to move forward with that, we can, just definitely just see quotes to see what we're looking at, and then project that for next year, at least get an idea of what we're looking at. But regardless, moving forward, I think that direction should be input first, then build, not just build, because you pay X amount of dollars to have someone build something, and then of course there's going to be things missing. At the very least, if they have community input, council input, what do you want? What do you want to see? Then that way we can move forward. But right now we're using the tools that we have to try and get the information out there, and I think that we've made considerable improvements in that. Everything from this storm. We were constantly, relaying EOC information, weather information. That gets posted anytime when the storm starts, we start. So both police and fire, their Facebooks, they're constantly updating information. So we're trying to do it the best of what we've got. But once again, it would require funds to move forward now.
Bus? Devin? Welcome.
Devin Aaron, 5414 Bay Boulevard. I got two things I want to talk about. One's the limestone pier that we're trying to fix, and the other one's the Nix Park boat ramp. Nix Park boat ramp, awful condition. City's going to get sued. Somebody's going to get hurt. Nancy, you should, I don't know if you maybe go out there, take a look at it. I know you're not like a infrastructure expert or anything like that, but if you even look, down the boat ramp, you can see where they put these composite boards on and where people have stepped and it's cracked off, right? I mean, if somebody falls and cracks their head, we're squabbling about a couple $100,000 here, a couple $100,000 there. We're talking millions of dollars. Huge liability. We don't charge anything to use this ramp. This is like a free public utility from everybody from Daytona Beach to wherever. They all can come and bring their boats. I've suggested in the past that we charge for this. I know there's some legalities to that because of the way we acquired Nix Park. It was donated. I guess Nick is the guy, right? But it's not being shepherded properly. There's assets and liabilities, and right now Nix Park is a giant liability, and it's due to mismanagement because nobody's had their eye on the ball. Nobody appreciates free things. So we got a free asset, and we're not taking care of it, and we can monetize that. There might be some maneuvering we need to do, to get that through. As far as, maybe selling things. You could even put up a shack where you sell life vests and fire extinguishers and just basic things. I mean, you could do so many things to monetize, to make the city money. You could make $1 million a year if you just have a little bit of creativity, employ a couple people, rotate it, make the place safer. And if we were able to figure out the legalities of the donation from Nick or however that happened, where we're not allowed to charge for that, there is some way I'm sure we could do it. I don't think we should charge citizens who live in Port Richey, but we should charge people from out of state. There's so much economic pressure moving into Florida and economic activity and building and apartments and everything else. And these people, they live in their house inland, but they want to go on the boat. So they want to come out over here, and from Hernando Beach all the way to Anclote, that's the only boat ramp. So it's like a huge deal. So that's something that really needs to be looked at. I think it's being just way overlooked. We're looking at so many other things, and other things are really important, but this is very important because it's important to the people of Port Richey, and we can monetize it, so it's a positive thing. It's going to take a little bit of work to actually, make it happen. I'm happy to help. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are happy to help. I'm in the marine industry, so it's kind of like my thing. And a segue to that is the limestone pier. Pasco County acquired that land across the river by Whiskey River or whatever, and those motels or whatever's going on over there, and they're going to install a boat ramp and some kind of facility there for boats, right? Boat ramp deal. That's great. I think that's awesome, but we also need to fix what we already have over here on this side of the river, which is the main side of the river that really matters to the city of Port Richey. That side of the river matters, but it's not as, how do I put it, important as, the waterfront district right there. That's so important, and we shouldn't overlook that area. But we're not in coordination with Pasco County on what their plans are. And we're just going to plop a gigantic pier where the old one was because we have these ARPA funds that could have been is it ARPA?
Mhm.
Is that the right thing? Those could have been appropriated to many other things, whether it be roads, from what I understand, or whether it be the boat ramp. I mean, you can take this money and apply it other ways. I just don't see, it's one thing to have not really an ROI on the money that's spent through these grant programs and whatever. But if this screws up Pasco County's, boat ramp that they're trying to do for the future, I mean, we really need to talk to them about that and figure out is this even the right thing to do? And should we just can the whole thing and take that money right before it's gone and apply it somewhere else rapidly? People ask, what's going on with the limestone pier? They're asking about it because it was always there. They went on it in the past, but it's like a grandfathered thing in. So it's not something that necessarily should be there in the first place. It was the old, US 19 basically down the coast. And we turned it into a pier, and that's fine, but it's completely in shambles, needs to be ripped down. But I think it's actually a hindrance to Pasco County's future development on that side of the river, where a boat ramp's great. I mean, it's great for everything. It's great for property values, for the waterfront district. But if we're actually impeding on that whole design, I think that's retarded. I mean, it's just so retarded, I can't even tell you. Has anyone reached out to Pasco County about what their plans and desires are across the river?
I can say, I know the previous city manager, they did have conversations with Pasco County. Yep, they did have conversations with Pasco County, and Pasco County has basically said that, yes, they want to put a pier there, but we're really not doing anything for several years.
They're years out before they have not submitted any plans, any design.
Yeah, they have
composite,
nothing.
They acquired the property, right?
They've got
Yes.
I believe they want to acquire one more piece of property, which they haven't gotten their hands on yet.
Who owns it?
There's a hotel in between the property that they bought on the corner of I'm trying to remember that side. What? Sorry? Cedar. Thank you.
Okay.
Cedar. They bought that property, and then they bought the property right across from Whiskey River. But there's a centerpiece of property that's been lingering there.
Yeah.
But
that's a good thing, right?
I don't know their plans. I'm just saying this is an open forum. We're talking.
Well, they
have not done anything yet as far as submittal. If I had a submittal, if we had anything, that'd be great. I'd bring it to council.
We're obviously not in communications with them. I invest in properties and do stuff. When I buy a piece of property, I have a vision for the future. You don't just spend, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for waterfront property without a vision, right? So up on the vision board for Pasco County, somebody has an idea that they're trying to bring through fruition. You know what I mean? So we need to be in coordination with them, talking to them, because we're City of Port Richey, but really we're under Pasco County. They're the big dog. They're like our mom or dad or big older brother, and we need to be in coordination with them because we go hand in hand. And I don't think any thought has really been put into this other than we need to rebuild the pier, which I don't even see the reason why we should rebuild that pier in the first place. I mean, I understand some people will use it, but it's kind of in the way. It's a navigational hazard in some regards. I just think it should be really coordinated better and rethought maybe. I know everybody voted on it already, so, it's kind of a, foregone thing, but I think it should be brought back up and we should talk about it, because I think that's a serious mistake. And also, can we take that money in a last ditch effort and put it somewhere? Because isn't it $300,000? I'm sorry, Dave? $700,000? How much is it, Sal?
Technically, right now, the only obligation we have is, correct, about 160 for the design for the pier that's going on right now by Coastal.
All said and done, because again, we're planning on doing this.
Go out to bid, but yeah, I mean, to build it, you're going to be talking anywhere
They
between.
said 300, but based on what
To
they.
build, yeah, I would say at least
300.
I would say between 350, 400,000.
300 and 350,
Yeah.
400.
Probably 450 by the time they're done with us.
But that hasn't, we haven't gone forward with that yet. We're still in the.
But I mean, for 450 though, we could rebuild our boat ramp and fix that.
Well, I will say, part of the sunk cost that we have for permitting, if we don't rebuild the pier, and I'm not going to get into whether,
Yeah.
but if we don't rebuild the pier, we have to remove the pier, which will require permitting.
Well, even if we rebuild the pier, we're removing the other one. The demos
To
haven't
demo
really.
it, you're going to need permit. Huh?
But just should it be demoed and that's it, and we move on?
Right now, the direction to the designer is the plans will include demo, the plans will include rebuild.
Right.
There's options, once we get pricing in, to segregate out the demo and then proceed with the rebuild or not proceed with the rebuild.
I just feel like we're pissing money away here.
So and circling back a little bit on the Nix Park boat ramp, because this actually came up 2 years ago.
It's so important.
And has probably come up 2 years before that and 2 years before that. The last time this came up, we were in conversations with Pasco County. You may or may not know about 80 to 90% of the people who use Nix boat ramp are Pasco County residents, not City of Port Richey residents. We were, and this was brought up, and I'm not saying anything that isn't in meeting, online meetings, but we did investigate opportunities and look at different things for charging for Nix Park program. Anything from a gate, keyed gate, and you pay and you put in money and let's gate in, or you're putting an officer there or something of that nature. The last time we talked with Pasco County, they were fairly heavy against charging Pasco County residents for the boat. So instead, we were looking at and even got pricing for repair of the boat ramp. I believe we had budgeted like $150,000 and it came in at $200,000 for the cost to repair. Obviously, we're a small city. We said, well, wait a minute, Pasco County, can you chip in? Oh, yes, we'll chip in. Just don't charge for the boat ramp. Just don't charge for the boat ramp. Okay, well, where's the money? And then the money never showed up.
Yep.
Surprisingly. So the boat ramp has still since sat there. Now Pasco County has said, oh, well, we bought the property across the wall. We don't even need your little boat ramp anymore because we're going to put in super boat ramp as soon as we get all our property 5 years from now. So now we're somewhat, in my opinion, and this is my opinion only, we're somewhat stuck in a catch-22. If we sink $300,000 or more into a boat ramp to repair it, and Pasco County puts a $2 million boat ramp across the river, which one are you going to go to as a resident? You're probably going to go, and we charge for our boat ramp, but Pasco County has their boat ramp for free. That's a much nicer facility.
Well, they're going to charge for sure.
You used to think they're going to charge?
That would be, if I don't spend my life on it.
Hudson, they both charge. Hudson Beach charges $5. Yeah.
There's no free lunch with a boat.
But even if they do charge, which one are you going to go to? And
I'm going to go to the one that's better, okay, and the one that I'm more comfortable with. And right now, I won't even use Nix Park because it's such a mess over there. You know what I mean? I'll go to Gulf Harbors, to the private one, because I happen to have a key, or I'll use my own boat ramp at my property. But that's neither here or there. Everybody needs to be, taken care of with their needs and stuff. We're a boating community. We got this asset. We're totally misallocating it and not using it properly. And I understand Pasco County doesn't want us to charge for the boat ramp and stuff. But again, it ain't their thing. They're not. When somebody trips and falls and breaks their neck and we get sued for $5 million, and Nancy's got to go to war with somebody for years, they're not paying the bill. We're footing the bill. So we need to be compensated accordingly, and we need to take this asset, turn it into an actual asset to the city. An asset is an asset that makes you money or is a positive thing. A liability is just a negative thing that costs you money or liability. And right now, it's a complete liability that we have this on our books, with liability attached to it. We really need to look at this and we really just need to do this. We need to all look at each other and say, okay, we want to do this, right? We need a consensus that we want to do this, but how are we going to do it moving forward? But do we want to do it? Is it a yes or a no? It should be a yes. Once we get a yes from everybody, we'll figure out how to do it. We'll work out the details. It's not rocket science. We could start out with a little pay meter. There's all sorts of ways, but I know we could generate a ton of money. It would pay for everybody's raises that everybody got, that everybody deserved. I mean, there's all sorts of nice things. Now it's just costing us money. It's just costing the city money. And the boat ramp sucks. There's a giant hole in the middle of it. We got the frickin' casino boat. I don't know what happened to that. I don't know if it's running anymore, but they were blowing out the whole bottom of the ramp.
They're for sale, I believe. I think.
Whatever,
They were still using it.
Yeah, it's still going out.
Casino boat.
I think they're trying to sell them.
Yeah.
I saw it.
But that's neither here nor there. We need to fix that boat ramp and make it an asset so that, when Dave or whoever wants to go use it, we can go use it and we're like, man, that's a nice boat ramp. We're on the up and up. We're doing stuff. There are people who would literally move here because there's a beautiful boat ramp where they could go park their boat and then come in and live here in the city of Port Richey. But because the boat ramp's in such shambles, they don't want to live here. Why would they?
So
Yeah.
I campaigned on it, so it's definitely something that I'm on board with. It's our flagship resource for the city.
Where are those two, by the way?
I don't know. I think
They're just
Lynn had something else, but
There's no requirement that anyone.
it's optional.
It's not a council meeting.
golly, okay.
But anyway, I'm totally on board with looking into charging for the boat ramp, not for Port Richey citizens, but for anybody outside the city. Obviously, we need to look at possibilities of how we do that, how we administer it. But there's, even if we put a box out there with an envelope, we're going to get something probably, right? So it's definitely something that I want to look at doing. I've mentioned it before. Again, I campaigned on it. I think that,
What do you guys think?
I'll charge. Last time we looked at it, the legal repercussions, there was no restrictions from the deed
Okay, well, that's good news.
regarding charging of it. Again, Nancy, you'd have to look at it again.
It's been a while since I looked at it, and I know Jim had looked at it before me, and I think there are ways that it could possibly be accomplished, but there are a lot of other considerations that kind of paused the last time about how it would work, how much you have to pay to get what you have to pay to create it, or to get the money, and sometimes that costs more than what you're getting. So there's a lot of consideration.
To get from point A to point B, period. But, do we have support? Tom, do we got support? Todd, do we have support?
No problem with it.
Yeah, I would have no problem charging.
So we're moving forward. So let's put it on the agenda and let's rock and roll. Let's get something done. I don't want to kick this. I don't want to be 80 years old, standing at this podium talking about the boat ramp. I want to use the.
On your boat then. I wouldn't be going out on your boat.
Sure, I would be. Spring chicken. But anyways, those are just the two things that are really on my mind.
one more thing about the boat ramp. I believe that a grant is being sought for $200,000. That they've upped the.
I thought we didn't get it. Actually, he asked me. I thought it was.
No, we didn't. I don't think we did get that one. We tried.
We applied, but we didn't get it.
Okay.
Even still, that's just a hiccup. We need to all look at each other and say, all right, we're doing this. It's just we got to work out the details, and we need all hands on deck. We don't need the bickering and all the other stuff. We just need to all be on the same team and get this done for the citizens of Port Richey, and it will generate revenue for the city of Port Richey, which we desperately need. We're a small city. We need all the money we can get in this little city because we're tiny. We're not Pasco County. We don't have bazillions of dollars coming out of our ears, from all sorts of stuff that they're developing. So I just really think it's an important thing, and it's something that's just been kicked down the road for I don't know how many years, just probably 20 years this thing's been kicked down the road. Anyways.
So yeah, I think future agenda to discuss boat ramp or?
No,
No?
no, because this is not what this meeting is. It's not meeting, this is a town hall meeting where we're not deciding what goes on the agenda. We need council consensus for that. That's a
Well,
council,
no, you
that's a
control-
council meeting, but I'm
you
not.
control the agenda.
Yeah, but
Well, we got 3 people right here that already are on board with it.
This is a town hall to have discussion. It's not to set policy or make any.
Right, we're not voting or anything.
it can be
No,
brought
I
up in
think-
future meetings,
I
yes.
think, yes, I think this.
I would bring it up in a future meeting. Let's take the input from everyone.
The next council meeting, I'll bring
Talk
it up.
about those things. That's what we have to do.
See?
Just keep the process.
Moving forward.
Keep the process.
That's beautiful.
All right.
God, I'm happy. I'm excited. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Devin. I'll come back to you since you're in. Bobby?
Richard German, 7637 Deidre Circle. The gentleman that was just up here is correct. If you don't have a vision, you don't have anything. If you got something, use it. If you don't want to pay for a boat ramp, you pay for parking. Boat ramp is free. There's a lot of ways to get around. Anyway, you go to eat at the places to eat over there, no parking in their lot, you pay $10 right across the way to go eat. The only thing is they give you a golf cart to go back and forth, so you don't have to walk. But you still got to pay. Everything nowadays, you got to pay. That's not why I'm up here.
Go on.
All right. In the median, right outside, beautiful trees, but it's going to cause an accident one of these days. And I don't know if it ever has, but you got to stick your nose out almost into the high-speed lane either way before you can see what's coming at 55 miles an hour. And at that point, it's too late when you pull out. You have some bushes that are 5 feet high, and then the flora is above it where you can look through. The ones right outside, they're beautiful, but you can't look through them. And you got to stick the nose of your car out, and when it's too late, boom, the front of your car gets hit. So if you guys want to take a look at that.
Do we maintain those or?
No, that's Pasco County. At least once a year, they go out there and they will hack them to like there's no tomorrow. They'll literally drop them to like little nubs. They do it about once a year, every year and a half. We could reach out to them and tell them that there's concerns about them, you know, and reach out to them. But Ridge Road is maintained by Pasco County.
Okay. The second thing is, I live on Deidre Circle. Now, coming down to Deidre Circle, you come down Limestone. Now, Limestone has speed bumps. On Deidre Circle, we got speed dips. Right?
Which ones work better? Because we'll put them on all.
There's a sewer grate right next to where they repaved the road. Well, when I figured they repaved the road, they're going to bring up that sewer lid 5 or 6 inches so you don't break an axle. If you don't know the road, you're going to break an axle. And even if you're lackadaisical leaving, boom, you hit it, you're going to break an axle one of these days. It's not a big deal to lift it up 4 or 5 inches and blacktop around it. I thought they were going to do that.
You know, when they do mill road, do they adjust those sewer drains and stuff at that point, or what's the normal?
I'm trying to recall when Deidre Circle was done. Do you have an address on that particular? Is it a grate or is it a sewer? Is it a manhole cover?
No, it's a grate.
It's a drainage grate, like for stormwater goes into the
4x4 or 4x6.
right by your lift station. Right in the center.
Yeah, right by the lift station.
Station. Okay.
Was Deidre Circle reclamated, or is that a mill?
They were reclamated, I believe.
The guy who lives there says the water that goes into it, there's a pipe to Deidre Lake. So if Deidre Lake is up, that doesn't do anything. So, you know, I always thought it went into a sewer and the sewer went someplace, but it goes into Deidre Lake. So, you know.
That's a stormwater grate. That wouldn't go into the sewer system.
And that's, you know, and all the water goes down Deidre. It doesn't do anything. And the third thing, when we moved here, we talked to a few residents, and they said something 6, 7 years ago that they were thinking of dredging Deidre Lake out over to the Piscataqua River. It gets to one point where the water deepens, and it's not a big deal, but I was wondering if that has ever come up in the last 8 years. Let me say this: before we moved to Port Richey, we were in Hudson, where those 2 houses burned down. We lived around the corner, but anyway, we were all on canals, and Jack Mariano fought like hell to get money, government money, and Gulf Harbors, with the dredging project that's going on up there. And I was wondering, did you guys apply for anything to get, give me a backhoe in a week and I'll have it done.
So, one thing, and I've let everybody know last few council meetings, but, and actually that meeting's coming up. So I, as well as Dave Mueller and Carl Roth, the Port Authority Board, and Devin Aaron, actually, we're going to meet with the county next Friday. And so we've got all the dredging documents that have been put together in the past. I don't know that Deidre Circle was involved in that or not, but I didn't think it was, yeah. But the approach that I want to take with the county is look at every possible thing that we need to dredge from their MSBU program and gather the information, run the numbers, do all the analysis, whatever. We're going to be working with the county to see where that goes. And then once we get that information put together, we're going to bring that back to council for council to take a look at and see if it's something we want to do. And, we can say, well, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do this, but we want to do these areas, or we want to do it all. So it just depends on, how that conversation goes. But I can tell you that every waterway is in my scope to at least start the discussions. And then we can pare that back if we don't want to do that or doesn't make sense or what have you.
As far as the dredging goes, I don't think that's a problem because it's, it's an easy to do. But you have that 18-foot or 12-foot sewer pipe that you cross it. I don't know if you've ever been over there.
I have, but I don't know if
If you go down Deidre and right by the apartments and the marina, that road, if you follow that back right where it says private access, you'll stop and you'll walk. But to go across where you would dredge is a waterway. So they put in this big sewer pipe. And that would be the only thing that would have an encumbrance as far as creative thinking, to get a boat with a tower on it or something like that to go through a pontoon boat or, what I mean, with a...
Do me a favor, if you would maybe do a little map and circle what you're talking about on there, so when I meet with the county, we can...
I'll tell you what, I'll give you my phone number and we'll go together.
We'll get to me afterwards so you don't have to tell the world. But, yeah, sounds good.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, actually, real quick, before you come on, there's, just so you guys know, there's some waters and cookies and stuff over there. Please help yourself and snack and relax.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anastasi Hendry-Knowles. I live at 9427 Moorhead Lane, Port Richey. After the storm had happened and with all the water damage and everything, unfortunately, unfortunate accident and everything, but my main concern is the foundations in a lot of homes that got damaged, water damaged, and coming from a construction and building maintenance background, I've seen what concrete damage has caused and done. A lot of times it can get really expensive if it's not taken care of or lagged out for several years. So I just think that needs to be brought up when, code enforcement, whoever goes out and does any kind of assessment, maybe just check with the foundation of these homes and making sure that the concrete is fine. If it needs to be corrected, let's take the corrective measures and fixing it. So there's not going to be 15, 20 years from now, and they're going to have problems with the foundation because there's water damage that never been taken care of. Because it can get really expensive. That's it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
He's already talked, so I can make sure that. Sorry. All right, go ahead. Come on, you're good. All right. You be next.
Dave, 543.34.
Already.
I talked about monopolizing the meeting, didn't I?
No. I just wanted to comment on. What Devin and the gentleman back here mentioned. There's a finance meeting tomorrow night. To my knowledge, and I've been to all the meetings, not really seen much in the way of direction from this council as to go and build a budget and put the items in there for that. Any material things. I mean, there's been a little banter. This is an excellent opportunity to drop $300,000 line item for Nick's Park renovation. You could also give consideration to the fact that we're going to spend money. We've already got sunk cost in plans for Limestone Pier. We have to spend those funds within a certain time frame, and I believe probably almost a year has gone by, and I think there was a 2-year limit on that. I don't know what the date is, but the reality is that pier's too long. It doesn't need to extend that far into the river. It's a navigation hazard. It could be cut in half. The other thing, too, is it could be totally removed and maybe just give that property over to the county to fit it into whatever plan they wanted to do. That way they got an ingress and egress point for that ramp. The other thought is to potentially use those funds to do the repairs over there at Nick's that need to be done, and maybe put that in to sprucing that up. Although there was something done, it was more or less repair, but nothing was really done to the surface structure of that dock there at Nick's, nor the ramp and that kind of thing. So this excellent opportunity to add that in there. I think the residents would be interested in having no problem adding a little millage for that. I do believe that there's contingencies that are going to be added to the reserves. I had an opportunity to look at the budget a little bit. I'll be here tomorrow night, and we'll see where we go from here. But it's a great opportunity. You can add it tomorrow and get something rolling on that. Thank you.
Thanks. Can you use ARPA funds for boat ramp, or do you guys know?
I don't think so. Because it's a roadway, and it's specifically they put it for like sewers and sanitary.
Infrastructure,
And
mostly.
for infrastructure.
Well, ramp is somewhat infrastructure, but
Ramp is a tough sell to infrastructure.
well, pier, I think would be a harder sell, but we can use it for that, right?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, there
that may
is some
have-
latitude in it. So Rachel has the particulars as far as what can exactly.
We could look into it.
There's- There is a lot of room for ARPA, but that was going to be an actual future discussion. We discussed mill and overlay on the roadways that we did not reclaim. We've only allocated $300,000. I currently have an estimate based on a piggyback contract with Pasco County to do Bay Boulevard alone. That road alone is estimated at $450,000. So the money that we have allocated set aside in ARPA to pave is, we don't even have enough to do one road. And Bay Boulevard is, to me, it was not reclamated. Its RSL rating was a 6, I believe, 6 or below. It was a recommended road to be paved. I've held off on this item. I pretty much have it prepared because I think we're going to have to relook at what we have allocated for ARPA. I believe that conversation needs to come up. I think that we probably need to discuss if we are going to move forward with the limestone pier because of what we set aside for that, and what we actually want to, finally do with these funds. Like I said,
And the deadline is, what's the deadline?
not December of this year, the following.
December 2024.
But right now, there's a great opportunity, like I said, with Pasco County has allocated I have a piggyback opportunity with a company. They have a $20 million deal right now. They're going to be doing a lot of roads throughout Pasco County. The opportunity is there. It's ready to go. I have all the documents for that. They have already provided me an estimate for Bay Boulevard, but as of right now, we can't afford it. So that was going to be an upcoming conversation. Not this agenda, probably the very next one, give or take our list of items and stuff that we're doing with the city manager search, and if we have to move things around for that. But that we need to discuss ARPA. That it was a piggy bank, but that piggy bank has dwindled away on several items that we've had done. So we have to decide what we want to do to move forward. It all comes down to money. I mean, if we noticed one thing with everyone talking tonight, that's what it comes down to. If there's one thing that's all a common denominator, it's where's the money for all of this. The Knicks Park Pier was brought before council years ago. This has been going on for a lot longer than you think. I remember meetings going back over a decade. We talked about kiosks. We talked about arms. We talked about attendance. We talked about all that, at one time or another. We talked about the permission to be allowed to do that. We put it out to bid to rebuild it. And I think the bid came out at about $280,000. And, it was turned down because we only had about 150 to do it. I mean, it came out 280 to do it. We just didn't have the money. So the bids were rejected. Now that 280, double that now on what it was. So, it's all about the process. I will do any process that anyone asks me to do or the next city manager. They have no problem doing that. City manager will follow the direction of council. They'll put out to bid and talk in 30 days. Put it out, people bid for it, we go forward from there. But, at the end of the day, anyone will tell you it's about setting funds aside. A line item that was discussed about putting $200,000-$300,000 aside for that pier. It's going to have to come from somewhere. So.
I think the last conversation, just to keep in everyone's head, a $300,000 millage increase is about $400 a year on everyone's real estate tax bill. Well, as long as you get everyone else in line, we'll raise taxes as high as we want to.
Look,
Michael Ferez, 5045 Waterside. I'm not talking about anything you guys need to spend money on, so I'll change the pace.
You gonna give us money?
I can comment on all these things because I'm in the city. I've been in the city for a long time. But the thing that I think that I just want to bring up in this is there's a lot of people coming in and buying in some of the empty lots that we've had in the neighborhoods that we've had. We know we have a stormwater issue. We have a runoff issue. We have the city's been fighting with that for a long time to make sure we can get water running through the ditches properly, and things have been built that have stopped that in a lot of places, like Walmart, which was a huge problem. But we've let a couple of things be bought recently that were the final couple of lots in a lot of the neighborhoods that have drainage issues, and those lots were the drainage. They were the spot that all the water in those areas was collecting during heavy rains. They were the spots that heavy water on the roads was making it out to the canals through those spaces. Those pieces of property have been bought recently through, by private people, and code and building hasn't been staying on top of, you're not allowed to raise the grade on those pieces of property without swift mud involvement because it changes the way water runs through the rest of the community. It's happened a number of times. I brought it up with building and code when it happened on Bay Boulevard. It's happened again on Bay Boulevard. We have water collecting and standing now in places that it didn't used to. And while you can't, an earlier comment was that you couldn't make a new owner, I think you're talking about the ramp. You can't make a new owner change code just from buying a property. You can't go in and step in and make them have to update to code for certain things. You can when they make changes to the property. So, I mean, a lot of you know me, I do a lot of flood management stuff in town, construction projects. When I do a construction project that raises a property up out of the grade, one of the big things that we have to discuss with the town or any municipality is what we're doing with rainwater, and whether or not by raising that property, we're gonna force water to a neighbor or force water into a place it's not supposed to be. The last project that we did on Bay Boulevard, we worked with the city to let them, while we had the entire yard torn up, put storm drains in on both sides of that piece of property to connect to the existing storm drains, so that water that used to collect in front of that road would go into the storm drain the way it was supposed to, while we already had the yard torn up. Now we have water collecting in a lot of places. It was brought up that we have storm drains. We know the storm drains run to the bayou. They run to the bayou, they run to the canals. You guys are talking about paving roads. The reality is that 10 years from now, those roads are gonna have to be raised. I mean, as it stands right now, a king tide with no west wind, and we have high tide in the roadways coming back up through the storm drains. So long before I saw you spend that money on paving the existing roads, I think we need to have, I know you guys had some people in here talking about inundation. You guys had an inundation survey done. I talked with those folks. I was the only citizen here that talked with those folks that night that they had their open meeting before your city council meeting. That's a big deal. If we can't figure out how to get stormwater under control, it's not gonna matter what you do to pave that road. If it's under 3 feet of water, we're not getting anybody out in a hurricane. And we can do a better job at the code level, at the building department level, of making sure that people aren't taking advantage of things. When someone buys a piece of property that is a place that water collects or a place that water runs off through, then when they're building, great, they get their building project, but they have to put a swale in. Or they have to allow an easement in the corner of that piece of property to allow stormwater runoff to make it to the canal. You know, these are the things that we need to do. The big complex that's trying to build the condos out off Bay Boulevard that wants to buy that piece of property and do that. We had a big discussion about that here that night with your inundation study people. That's the time to make that developer fix the waterways that run back under the Bay Boulevard Bridge and out through Brasher Park. Let them put those canals in. Make it a statement that's part of them getting the concessions they're gonna need from you to work on those wetlands. Like, they're gonna need a lot from permitting. They're gonna need a lot of concession from the city to build those big projects. And you make it part of that. One of our old building officials, when someone wanted to buy the piece of property next to Richey, between the Avila Bay Apartments and the Pelican, they wanted to buy that. His contingency was, okay, but we're gonna make you split the road with us. If you want to put that road in, you want to continue Richey down through there, then you have to split the road with us. You have to split the cost. Cities do it all the time. That's the way you get that stuff done. You get a developer to come in, you make a concession to them, and you make them build something the city needs. So those are my concerns. The stormwater runoff is a big concern. Continued development in places where water needs to go without thought of how that water needs to get through there is a big deal. We had a lot of residents on Bay Boulevard in the middle of that storm that for quite a long time after the water receded everywhere else still couldn't get out of Bay Boulevard because of standing water, because of a project that's being done that nobody's paying any attention to. So those are concerns. I'm not gonna talk about the other stuff that I do. I'm happy to do that. I do think you guys need to maybe put something up on the site. I don't know if you guys have anything on the current website about the PASCO IA or the FEMA IA funding that's available to all the citizens. It's individual assistance. They published it on the PASCO site.
For the storm? Yeah. Yes, we have a whole section dedicated to that. Anything that they sent us, we've mirrored over.
Okay. Because I spoke with Pasco County Emergency Management. They said everybody who's ever thought about a mitigation grant or ever thought about any kind of funding to get their homes out of the water, to get the grant in now. Because if we hit a threshold in Pasco County, of damage in Pasco County, then FEMA will activate HMGP funding and throw an awful lot of money into Pasco County to try and grant as many people as possible to get them out of the water.
Good enough. Elevated. I'm not going to try and plug that. I do that for a living. Thanks, Mike.
Troy Peterson, I pastor at 8114 Leo Kidd Road. That's Light of the World Tabernacle. The first thing, I'm reminded of Care Fest coming up. We do every year in Waterfront Park. I believe this year we have 31 projects. Last year, I think we had, was it 20 plus projects? City Holiday Mobile Home Park. So working with code enforcement, we went in and tackled them projects. Was at a meeting today, and we believe some of these projects in Pasco County we can push off to maybe a later date and tackle projects that are a necessity through the flooding. That's one thing. If you come across any, anything like that we can maybe handle, sooner versus later, we're willing to do that. The other thing, Community Advisory Committee is, I've noticed they've been looking for different events and family-friendly events in Waterfront Park. As you guys know, we do 5 events, I think, isn't it 5? Yeah, 5 events in Waterfront Park. You guys been a part of that for years. But I believe we're praying into another one. And this kind of come through Mayor Rob Marlowe wanted me to do like a family-friendly event in Sims Park. This back when he was mayor. We've been praying into it. We do have a free concert with encouraging words coming up in Sims Park on September 30th, same day as CareFest. But I was talking with a friend, actually 2 friends. One has several mobile billboards. He has a mobile billboard company. And he's been asking me about doing movie nights, either at our church or in a park. He's friend with the sheriff, and the sheriff and the Park and Rec Department, Pasco County Park and Rec Department, has agreed to allow him to come and do free movies in the park. I thought, wow, that's a great idea. Why don't we do that in Sims Park? Or in Waterfront Park, I should say. And so it's something Pastor Leonard, Pastor Jerry, and I were talking about the other day. We've been milling around the idea of maybe doing a Sunday night free concert in Waterfront Park, maybe doing it a movie night, and family-friendly, a movie night in Waterfront Park. I don't know if that's something you guys had ever even thought about trying to.
The previous mayor brought up movies in the park or something.
We did have movie nights years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago at this point. That was sponsored by the city. And they would, I think they had like 2 a year or something like that, where they would have movie nights. So it's not unheard of. They had a big blow up movie screen, and then they'd shoot it across. The movie would play right in the field area, and everyone would kind of sit where the bathrooms are or along that is how they did it. So yeah, it's been done before. I would have no objection to it at all. So.
And he's willing to do it for free. I mean, it don't get any better than that. The cost is right. Actually, I think the movie particular that he's wanting to show is that human trafficking movie that just came out, and that's why the sheriff was, Sound of Freedom. That's why the sheriff was like, yeah, that's a good idea. But I mean, we could show family-friendly movies in the park, and if my buddy would be willing to do that, we could even, and Pastor Jerry was talking about even with concerts, we know enough people that do music, we could do music in the park. And so just a couple ideas, some things we've been praying into and be willing to, help and team up with the city. That's
Yeah, I think the only caveat to that, and you just said trafficking movie, so I'm not familiar with the movie at all. I have no idea, but I don't believe we ever did any R-rated or anything like that. So it was PG rated movies, Disney type stuff. So I don't know
good point, because I have not seen the movie.
yeah. So that you just said trafficking. That was my only flag, I'll say.
The first movie I would want to show, if I was overseeing it, would be The Favorite, and that's our friend Daniel Bernard. Somebody Cares Tampa Bay. That's a great movie. It's PG, but that's all I got.
I'm strong proponent of using that park for more than we use it. It's a great resource, again, very lightly used. So whatever we can do event-wise there I'm all about it.
Yep. All right. That's all I got. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Pat, welcome back.
I'd like to go back to the Nick's Park thing.
Sure.
We've talked over the years many, many times about charging, not charging. And to me, to differentiate between the citizens and anybody else is the citizens who all want to use the boat ramp get a sticker on their car or truck. And anybody else that wants to use it needs to come to the city and buy their permits. And it could be an annual fee, could be a 6-month fee, whatever. The other thing is we don't want to give Pasco County anything. Over the last 20 years, they've tried 4 times to dissolve our city. So remember that. Of course they don't want us to charge their citizens, And the property that they bought, if they put a boat ramp there, it will be a recipe for boating disasters. The river narrows, tide runs really hard both in and out. People who don't know what they're doing will be piling into the bridge because they will be swept away before they know what happened. It's a really bad location.
I agree with you. Anybody else? We still got 25 minutes. Welcome back.
I'm not going to go through my whole name again, but common Greek name. So, hey, I just wanted to touch a bit what Troy Peterson had discussed and possibly having some concerts and whatnot. I had coming talks with a famous Christian comedian, but I had to reach out due to personal reasons. I have to see what my consult's with the surgeon tomorrow, but I just wanted to bring up that I could reach out again at a better time and to see how things work with everybody, having maybe some comedians come out for like a family showing as well.
Thank you. Danny?
So Danny Fields, 8114 Little Kid. On the movie stuff at the park, I was actually talking with the chief of police, and so we do Faith in Blue, and he was talking about movies too, because reaching out to their organization and stuff. So we talked about maybe using the park. That was something that he was interested in the whole month of October. But on this short notice, since we got a lot of stuff and we have to get permits and stuff to get that, that's something we could do later on. But there's movies like me and him was talking about. It's called Courageous. It's about officers, believing and encouraging one another, working in their communities, having character and accountability. And it was a faith-based movie, but it was both. It was about being a city employee, about the community and that. And so there's great movies like that. I do movie night once a month, and I've have a whole list of stuff that I could get the city to approve, and you guys could pick through them, and we could show stuff like that. If I know that you, Mayor, me and you've talked about what can we do in the parks to bring more of the community in and be more aware of that stuff. So that's why when Troy was talking about these issues, we're listening to the feedback that you guys are getting in the communities and stuff that we have and bringing it to you guys, and then figuring out how we could make these things happen. And this will make the community grow, and it unites it together. You heard about some of the stuff that was talked here about how that through disasters we come together. Well, through events like this, it brings the community together where people work, like I pray into, play, and where they live. And we do want to bring other people in from outside, and they could spend money in our areas, and it brings taxes and and through that to our residents or to the Port Richey here for the city hall to be able to fund a lot of these things. And I like what Pat was talking about with our friend here about charging with that stuff like that. That'd be an easy way once that comes up on discussion to maybe see if we could do that and bring more revenue in. And then we could put vendors out there too at the park, and maybe I know some of them will sponsor stuff like that. So see how we could just continue to have meetings and meetings like this. To me, this was a great meeting tonight because we get to hear things that are going on in the community, the needs of the people, things that we could have vision. I like what he was talking about, having a vision. Without a vision, that's what the gospel is about. So I'm not here to preach, but without a vision, we could plan all we want, but we go nowhere. We just kick the can down the road. But a vision, when we come together in unity and kind of bring it together with the council and the meetings with the communities, then we make things happen. So thank you for your time.
Yep. And I know we're going to be looking at the strategic plan soon, I think, to redo that, right?
Yeah, we've talked about it, but it's that's going to be upcoming on our agenda. Figuring out who's going to be doing that for us, and going out. Probably going to go out to bid for that item. Put that together. Yeah.
And I do got another thing I was going to set down. Like the fire department, I don't know if you guys have seen some of these great movies that have values but deal with everyday life. Like Firemen, it's called Fireproof. You ever seen that, anybody in here? I tell you, that's an excellent movie. And there's kid-friendly movies we could show, family movies. There's Hallmark movies that got good themes. We could do stuff and show a lot of things. So I just wanted to throw some ideals out there with the community stuff that we could all think on and talk about and see what we could do. Okay?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Jerry Griffin, welcome.
Good evening. I'm Jerry Griffin, 7638 Deidre Circle. And I came in tonight with a lot on my mind that I wanted to talk about, and seems like most everybody's touched base on everything that I wanted to discuss, with the exception of Devin Ayers, who is completely wrong in saying we're the unimportant side of the river. If anything, we're the most important side of the river, and we deserve all the money allocated to our side.
Dave Mueller, 5439 Blue Point Drive. People have said that I've been able to make dead horses ride again. And I actually had that on a performance review one time, and the manager wrote, tends to beat dead horses. And my comment back to her was, able to make dead horses ride again. So anyway, one more thing. The gentleman over here that raises houses mentioned stormwater and how the water flows. And for years, the city has collected stormwater fees that deal with drainage. And that drainage runs right into our canals and has silted these canals in. But it's not only our city residents involved in that, it's beyond our city. It's the county. It's the city of Newport Richey and other outlying areas. Pasco County collects an unincorporated part. They collect a stormwater fee in the tax bill. I think the city of Newport Richey collects it every month as well in some fashion. But the point is you don't have to live on the water to create or add to the problem. It lands on my doorstep, runs right through the ditch, and ends up in my canal, in which case now I have navigable time frames that you have to work with. And all of our residents in this town do. They have that as well. Now, the city of Tampa was sued for that very fact, is they collected the fees and didn't address the problem. They spent them in other areas. So they were sued, and now they're going and correcting the problem. But my concern is, and we're going to have this discussion next week, is to get this notion in people's mind, well, I don't sit on the water, so it's not my issue about the canal, but it is your issue because it does flow across and into the waterways. And, you know, the potential is, can we do something with Swift Mud, Pasco County, and start looking at options there to get them to clean the mess up, like they did with Crystal River. They had issues there as well. Now, that was certainly a different issue, but certainly we're trying to improve our waterways here and trying to improve our water quality, and that's the direction we need to really take a hard look at and try to address that with any federal or state funding. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Giddy up, go.
Yeah, real quick, one of the conversations with the county about the dredging. Obviously, dredging is a piece of overall coastal restoration. Carl Roth on our Port Authority Board, a lot of information on coastal restoration. He's given a presentation in the past. Want to revise that, beat that dead horse again, because that's something that there's a lot of money out there for that, and it's the overall state federal government. They're really wanting to clean up the waterways. So I think we need to give that another hard look. I've asked Carl to see if he could reach out and get that presentation back in front of us. Maybe we can move on that. But again, coupled with that dredging conversation with the county, I'm going to talk to them about that as well. So, Evan?
Devin Aaron, 5414 Bay Boulevard. I do apologize. I don't mean to make one side of the river more important than the other. I know that we're spending a lot of money in the waterfront district to make it nice and bring it up to speed so we can kind of take the city of Port Richey to the next level. And I kind of intend on sticking around and seeing that to fruition, maybe take, 5, 10, 20 years down the line. I'm young enough, I might be able to see that really happen, and maybe this town turns into like a Dunedin or something like that. I've heard the John's Pass thing thrown around, and maybe that's not the look, but maybe like a Dunedin, is nice. But we need kind of like a focus, and a vision. And again, I apologize for making one side of the river more important than the other. But really, if you think about the city of Port Richey, it's wherever you live, obviously, because you're talking your book. But the main thing is everything on the river, the waterfront district. If for me, obviously I'm on Bay Boulevard, so I think about Bay Boulevard as being the heart of it all. Down Old Post, just very important. And I think to have a nice center that everybody can kind of crowd around and cling to have events and things like that. That's really where I'm coming from with this thing. We need, if we spread out all over the place, we don't have enough money. We can't do a spray and pray approach where we just spray money everywhere and hope things grow and this, that, and the other. We have to have kind of a plan. And I just think with the waterfront district, with the amount of money we're spending on that, we really need to, look at, the boat ramp and things like that, because that's part of that whole thing. I mean, if you look at all these empty lots, in that area, there are trailer lots, for boat trailers and things like that for storage, and we need to monetize, those people who own those lots, they're monetizing that ramp, which is really coming from the citizens, and that's fine, but we need to get our due as well, so we don't have to, up the millage, would you say 400 per head, per household or whatever. But we need an idea, we need a vision, and we need to stick to it. And the kicking the can down the road thing really drives me nuts. The government is a complete mess from the top to the bottom. And how you can, help is actually showing up to these meetings and trying to get things done and not kick the can down the road. And I think I'm gonna harp on this till something's done, and I don't think it's quite a dead horse. It's just something that needs to be talked about, and everybody needs to have a good consensus on, so we can really move forward with a good solid plan and apply a little creativity, and on the back end of that, it's also a liability issue. You should really take a look at that, because you would, if you saw all the hazards that potentially, really like Mike Alexander and you should take a gander down there, for an hour or something, maybe have lunch, and actually see what's kind of going on. But it's a little bit scary. People are drunk. People are, doing whatever they're doing out there, and they're coming back from boating. They really need like a nice, safe, thing to get in and out of with their boat. Everybody goes home safe without being, hurt or injured or anything. And most of all, we don't need a lawsuit, because those aren't little lawsuits. They're huge, multi-million-dollar lawsuits that would just, really hurt the city. So, that's all. And again, I do apologize. I don't mean to, talk badly about the other side of the river. Just we need kind of a
Southerners.
We really do. We need we need some kind of a vision, and to come together. And a rising tide lifts all boats. And if we have, a center that we can all crowd around to really make the city great, if you go to downtown like Dunedin, it's like, you got that like turn to go down, that center where they, welcome, home the troops. That's beautiful. Every time I'm down there, I'm like, God, this is nice. This is Florida. This is what it should be. Like, there's people who care. People are doing the right thing. They're actually paying attention and they have a vision. That's what I want more than anything for this city. I thank all of you for your help, on the council, and John, Tom and Todd to make all this happen, and Sal, I wish Linda and Bill were here. I think it's actually a shame that they're not here, but maybe that's, something to be considered on everybody's mind when it's time to vote people in and out. So there's that. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Dick German, I'm lost.
Tell him out, Ashley.
7637 Deidre Circle.
The Deidre Circle guy, yeah.
Else, remember, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Right. Oh, so true. Got 10 minutes. Anybody else like to speak? Sure. Any comments from this?
This is very interesting. Thank you all very much for your input. I look forward to the next one with word getting out to the other residents. And also by then we'll have our new city manager. I think it'll be an opportunity for the new city manager to meet the residents, hear the concerns. So our next one, please, let's get the word out. Let's get as many residents as we can and welcome the new city manager and share our concerns. And thank you all for coming out tonight.
One thing I'll add, obviously, this was a decent turnout for tonight. I really want to pack the room in here. Matter of fact, I'd like to pack the room on council nights. Don't limit yourself to the town hall. Obviously, council meetings, very informative. We're discussing city business. We value your input. I value your input. Before we put down votes, you know, you guys got an opportunity to voice your opinion, and that I tell you, I listen, and I speak for I think all of us. I think we all listen. So, well, you may think it doesn't matter. It matters to me, and it matters to I think these other guys as well. So definitely come out, support us. We want to hear from you. Help us make the city best it could be. Do you all, by show of hands, this good forum? You like this type of meeting? Is this something that we should continue? Good. So I echo what Tom says. You know, tell your friends. Tell them, you know, it was a good meeting. That we got plenty of time to talk. Really just propagate that out. So as we have these, we have a good majority of citizens here, and we can actually have better government. Because you know, at the end of the day, you guys are the ones that really push the ball forward. So I appreciate you coming out. And if anybody has anything else,
I think I need a motion to adjourn.
we can just adjourn.
Oh, we can
Dave,
just get up and walk away on this one?
Dave's got another horse to beat.
Dave Mueller. Yippee-ki-yay. Dave Mueller, 5439 Blue Point Drive. There's a budget meeting tomorrow night at 5:30.
Yes.
There's a CAC meeting, which I'm a member of. That starts at immediately thereafter. So if you're interested in hearing, well, immediately after the CAC meeting begins, after the budget meeting, isn't there another meeting in between there too?
I think there's the council and the CRA.
Right.
Budget meetings. No CRA tomorrow?
No, there's only a budget hearing and CAC tomorrow.
Okay.
5:30 and 7 p.m.
So you'll probably have, I don't think we'll be here an hour and a half, but you never know.
Yep.
It's up to these guys and gals.
So anyway, if you want, show up and voice your concern and tell them to put $300K in the budget for the ramp.
And I'm sure you all know, but obviously the city website, you can go out there. There's a calendar that shows all the meetings and what time they start and all that. It's normally within a month and a half current.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out. Like I said, we'd love to have you for the other meetings as well. Your input's valuable. That being said, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thanks for all coming. Appreciate it.